So being up 3-2 and losing at home is bad enough to lose in that way. Also makes it worse. But this is something we've been kind of talking about all year. Who's the season bigger for? Doc, Embiid, Harden. And so I know in the NFL and the NBA, they always talk about legacy games. And so with this game coming up, Game 7, who is this game bigger for when it comes to Harden, Embiid, and Doc? Who would you say this kind of game we're gonna look back to this game as far as like getting over a hump or kind of a legacy game for them going into this weekend?
I mean, in some ways, that's a tough question because it's so many different things at play for each person that you named. The one thing I knew about Doc and James is they come in with a history already attached to them. So either way, no matter how this game goes, that history of their attachment isn't really going to change. Like they're always going to be judged on the moment that's at hand. I think it's really about Joel. I think it's about him. You're the MVP. You got one game to do what you said you wanted to do against a team that has beaten you, but you've wanted their place. Go be the MVP. Go be the best player on the court and win the game. So if I had to pick one guy, I think it's on him because I can see a scenario where Doc and James aren't here next year, but Joel will be here next year.
Mm-hmm.
So how long are we going to continue to talk about not getting past the second round?
Yeah.
So I mean, sooner or later we're gonna have to, it's gonna have that conversation. Like, it was Ben, it was this guy, it was Doc, it was previous coach, it was James. Like, sometime eventually it's going to be you got to take some more onus on you, Joel. So, and I don't think it's anything as far as he's a different kind of guy or he can't do it. I don't see it like that. I'm just saying, whenever you're in position to advance or move forward and you're an MVP candidate and you're an MVP and you're the best player, one of the top players in the world, it should fall on you. If you go out and you do, and people seeing that you putting up these crazy numbers and you're doing all you can, and you don't get the balance around you, then it's easy to point at other people. If the team doesn't show up totally, it's easy to point the finger at the staff. But your best player in the MVP got to be the one that gets you there. I played with Allen Iverson. It was like Allen had some great games and some games that, I believe we had a Game 7 that he didn't play particularly well. I mean, we still won. I don't remember. I believe so. But that energy was always there. The effort was always there. Like, you never had to question any of that. Not saying that you had to question it for Joel, but I'm just saying, like, he was still, even though he didn't shoot a high percentage, he still felt like the best player on the court. He was still dominant. You know what I'm saying? Like, he still got to have his presence felt so much that the game becomes easier for everyone else. And I just think in order for us to go to that next round and advance from there and win the championship, he's going to have to be the best player on the court.
Toronto Game 7.
Yes.
He was 8 for 27 at 21 points.
Yes.
Yes. He has 16 assists though.
He had 16 assists though. Yeah.
Yeah. What did he shoot?
8 for 27.
That's what I thought. Yeah, I thought it was going Game 7 where he didn't shoot a high percentage, but he found another way. You see what I'm saying? Like, he had assists, and but he still attacked, and just him missing, but him attacking still giving us opportunities to offensive rebound. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And T Hill and everybody, you know what I'm saying? Like, we still had chances by him, his aggressiveness and his ability to attack the rim. So percentage wise, yeah, but we were always also different. We could win games when Allen didn't shoot well because of all the rebound and the defense that we had. So, but yeah, Joel has this. to me, it's a signature game for, number one for the best players. Just like for Boston, I think it's a signature game for Tatum and Brown. I think it's Tatum, Brown, however you want to do it, Joel, James, however you want to look at it. That's what it's about. That's what they're gonna remember. They remember these games, and I played on some really good teams. And when we played in game sevens and win, lose, or draw, my name didn't come up very often. Aaron McKee's name didn't come up very often. But Allen Iverson's name come up. Larry Brown's name come up. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah. Before I go to the original question, just with Embiid, he's third on the team in attempts in the playoffs this year. Like that.
Wait, he's also missed games, though.
Huh?
He's missed 2.
Is that because he missed the game?
No, per game.
Oh, per game. I thought you were talking about total attempts.
No, per game. He's third attempts, dude. Like,
yeah, I mean, is it because? Okay, it's per game. How many did he take in game 2? Did he not take a lot in game 2?
Yeah, I don't think he did take a lot in game 2.
Did that kind of lower the percentage, you think?
I'm right here right now. That's just, by the way, that's throughout the playoffs. That's not even just in the series. So
okay,
he didn't play. Well, he didn't play in game 4 of that.
Yeah,
anyway, he didn't shoot that much.
The jersey. I thought that the jersey, not Jersey. I'm sorry, Brooklyn was doubling him off the bus.
Yeah,
his attempts were down that series because of that.
Game 2, he attempted 9 in that game.
Yeah. I knew his percentage. I know his shot attempts was low that game.
Yeah, and Brooklyn limited him just by tripling and doubling him all series. So I mean, he really couldn't shoot that much in that series.
Yeah, I'm just saying your best player should be attempting the most shots.
This series, especially from game 3 and on, if it takes 30 attempts, then he's going to have to get 30 attempts.
Yeah.
And, 30 good ones, that's what it's going to take. It's going to take for him to, you average 33 or whatever, that's what it's going to take. It's going to take what it takes.
So, yeah, let's do the last 3 games. Didn't lead our team in attempts last game. He did barely lead our team in attempts the game before. And then the game before that, let me see. He barely led our team in attempts in that one. So they're all close, but it's not. I bet if you look at the regular season, it's not even close for attempts, right?
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, it's not. He's just not being that aggressive.
He got to pull it. He got to do it.
You're the MVP, dude. Yeah. You're the most unstoppable player in the league. You're the MVP. It's time to, you know what I mean? Like, he's got to get closer. His playoffs got to get closer to his regular season version of himself.
Yeah, that's why I say that's why when you ask the question, Marcus, I say Joel more than anybody.
Yeah, I think you actually talked me into that answer. I think I want to say the same thing. So there are a lot of different factors here. I went a little deeper. I think it comes down to legacy and past and future, right? So with Doc, you have a ring already. So he's got that going for him already, right? He's got a big string of choke teams in the playoffs. Most of the time they were favorites too. So they weren't just choke jobs. They were like big ones, right? They're very famous ones.
Yeah.
Harden has been an MVP. Very shaky playoff pass with a lot of bad games and no-shows. Future with him and Doc are the shakiest, like you mentioned. Game 7 might dictate both those guys in Philadelphia. Harden's still going to sign for a lot of money, whether it's here or somewhere.
I don't really look at it as Game 7. I look at it as not making it past the second round. You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah. Well, at this point, they're the same thing.
You know what I'm saying? Like it comes down to a Game 7, but really it's about the series. Like
yeah.
You didn't go, past that. So it's easy to say it comes down to this game, but if we lose Game 7, is Game 6 not important too? Because that's when you were at home. That's why people come down to this game. It really came down to last game too. Then what I'm saying?
Yeah. Well, what you're saying is valid, but we're here now, and they have a chance to erase some of that, right? So if
That's
you
what they
can't
had,
bounce
and that's
back
what I'm
off
saying.
that,
And
then that's what you are.
I'm not denying what you're saying, but I'm just saying. But that's also what they had in Game 6.
Yeah. And I was worried before the game that they weren't taking it as seriously as they should have taken it. Like, with Maxi's whole, we're going to go and do this next game like it's a war. Oh, that's what Boston said going into Game 6. You should already have the mentality. It's Game 6, not Game 1. Even Game 1 should be a war. 7-game series. Like, this isn't Game 3 of the regular season. This is it, man. Like, the whole thing's a war. It didn't start in Game 7. Anyway, Maxi's not under investigation here. So I think it should be a bigger deal for Harden and Embiid. I think the media and fans are going to make it more about Doc, unfortunately, which is not fair. I think Doc probably has the most to lose because I think he might not be our coach if things go poorly in this game. And he might just retire and not be a coach at all anymore. So he's going to go from coaching a contender to maybe not coaching at all. So that's a big drop off for him. Harden's still going to play for another 3 years and making max contract probably. Harden's legacy.
TNT or ESPN will take Doc in the heartbeat, so he'll be good.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, he's great. Yeah, I love listening to Doc.
Yeah.
So it's not going to impact Harden's job security. But I lean Harden because he is older and the chances of him winning a finals decreases a lot. Same with Embiid. His chances decrease every year too. But Harden's got, 5 years on him. They will decrease more rapidly over the next couple of years, and Harden's play has decreased every year. So
Harden's been to the conference finals though, and the finals.
He has. Yeah. I mean, he was
He's been to
he was sixth man in the finals, but yeah.
But he's been to a conference finals and a finals.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. So it comes down to, but people dog his playoff pass. He's got a bad playoff record.
They do, but they also know that he's done that. So getting past the second round is not an issue. That's not what you're saying about him.
Yes, that's true. Yeah, I guess I'm talking.
That's
more
what
about,
I'm saying. It's like if we're not making it, if we're saying this is whatever this run, however long this run has been, 5 years, or whatever this run has been, and we haven't gotten past the second round.
That's Embiid.
Only 2 years is on James.
Yeah. Yes.
And I wouldn't even put on Doc.
And I wouldn't even put last year on.
One guy has been there the whole time.
I wouldn't even put last year on James, to be honest with you. James just got here.
So
James is basically like Durant this year for Suns.
So that's what I'm saying. So what are we talking about? Like.
So if we're specifically talking about semifinal games played, then yes, obviously Embiid's a shoe-in number one with a bullet. He's up there. It's him. But if we're talking about just playoff legacy period, how many Game 7 chokes does it take to get rid of a legacy of a ring? I don't know.
I mean, I think the way it shifts to James or maybe Doc is if Joel is dominant.
Mm.
But if he's giving you what you say 23-10 or 26-10, whatever he did, people are gonna look at him. And plus, you got a situation where Joker is in the conference finals
and dominant.
Yes, putting up averaging 34, 10, and 12 or something like that.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So okay. I'm just saying.
So Teja, you went with Embiid or you went with Harden in the end?
If we're going semifinal entry, then yes, it'd be Embiid.
Okay.
When you talk about when you win MVP,
but Embiid's still here next year.
When you win MVP, it changes.
The expectations.
It changes.
Yeah.
And
but
we've been clamoring for it, and we've been wanting it.
Yeah.
So
when
the MVP moments show up, then you got to be an MVP.
Yep. Wouldn't it be bigger for a guy that might lose his job because of this game, though? That's why I leaned.
Yeah, but a guy that might lose his job for this, like Doc, doesn't mean that he didn't do a good enough job.
No. I totally agree.
Great job. They just decided to move on. So it's not like look at Bud. Like Bud lost his job. They just won a championship 2 years ago. They had the best record in the league. I'm just saying. Like,
but
Wayne Casey lost his job. Like, he was a coach of the year. Like, to me, a coach losing their job, and you gonna judge it on 1 year, one game, then it whatever they did before, it really didn't even matter.
It's expectations, though, right? Milwaukee was bona fide the best team all year. That's why Bud's losing it. They lost to an inferior team. We're not losing to an inferior team right now. We're losing to a team that everyone says is better.
But we also lost a game at home that we could have won the series.
Yes.
That's
when the circumstances change things.
Game 6, we lose Game 7. Game 6 becomes the biggest game of the year.
Yes. But in like 5 years from now, they lost.
You're saying somebody lost their job because of game. I'm saying they lost it because of Game 6 instead of 7.
Yep.
Yeah. But like I said, a few years from now, though, when we're talking about what happened that one year? Oh, they lost to Boston was like one of the best teams in the league. So it's not like we didn't lose to Miami. You know what I mean? We didn't lose to.
Yeah, but you can say that. But if you can say it like, yeah, you can look like that. But Giannis was injured. We know that. That team should still win, but it's the playoffs. Things happen.
Yeah. But Joel's injured too.
But all I'm saying is,
does Joel's injury give him any slack in your voting?
Yeah, a little bit. But the way he's played, I think that slack lessens. All I'm saying is, Milwaukee was never in position to win the series at home.
Yes, that's true. Yeah,
that's a huge difference. They were playing from behind the whole series.
I want to say the moment Embiid took his brace off, a lot of those injury excuses went down the drain. Because if you're not worried, then okay, neither am I. You're good, man, right? If you're not worried about that getting worse.
Yeah, people haven't, the conversation of the injury hasn't really been a conversation.
Yeah. Yes. But after the brace, I was like, okay, dude, you're good. You're Embiid. You're back.
Well, there were a few times yesterday where he was like Doris Burkamp on him holding his knee or like kind of limping or
I think that one botched like fast break where Harden threw under his leg. Which, by the way, how do you we messed up so many fast break open layup like 3-on-2 opportunities in the first half. It was a joke.
Just one more thing on Doc, and I'm with you guys. Actually, this is going back to a conversation we had in the offseason, Eric. You said that this team, Doc may go based on the way it ends, right? Based on how it happens, right? It wasn't a sweep. It's Game 7. Do you think if we lose Game 7 close, based on what happened last night, do you think Doc's gone?
I don't. My thing is, if you're gonna move on from Doc, then what are you going to do? What are you going to bring in here, and are you going to start over with a whole new system? Mm-hmm. We don't know from that. Then you bring a guy like PJ come in here and these older guys make commitments. Do they make commitments to be in a different system next year? Is this a 2-year? You know what I'm saying? Is this a full 2-year run for James? So you're giving James Harden 1 full year here, and then you're changing coaches. I don't think it's a lot for Doc to go like other people do if we end up losing this game. I personally don't see that. I could see another full year. Then after that, maybe a change, but I don't think it's a lock that we lose Game 7 that a change is coming.
Yeah,
I'd like to go over. I'd like to review last year's because I think we had a very similar conversation last year. I'd like to go back and listen to that actually.
We did though. It was pretty much Eric said that it depends how it happens.
how it ends and how we go. And I believe the question was like, if I remember right, the question was like if we lose in the semifinals or it was like that. And I'm like, well, it depends on how you lose. Do you get swept? Are you are you getting blown out? Are we having the Phoenix Suns where you're down 30 in a closeout game at halftime?
Yeah, but I think if I told you two last year, that we're going to be up 3-2 in Boston at Philly and we lose the series, I think both of you guys would say Doc needs to go. Without watching the actual games, if I said we were up 3-2 against Boston and lost, I think most people.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. But that's why I also said you got to see how it goes because watching it, I don't feel like that.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying?
Yep. Well,
Yeah.
you said about switching personnel. What if they did a kind of one of the things where they let Doc go, one of those mutual things, but they just kind of promote Cassell, so you're keeping someone who is already a part of that regime. Because Cassell's well liked by everybody on that team. I mean, would that make more sense as far as going in a completely different direction and wanting to keep kind of the nucleus together?
I mean, I think Sam needs a chance. I think something like that happens if Doc decides to be a little more aggressive and stepping away.
Mm.
I don't know why. I don't see why the team would say we're gonna move on from Doc and put the next guy in command.
Yep.
Unless you're just looking for you're just convinced that we just need a change. And I think if they're going to do that, they'll open it up. Mm. I don't think Doc leaves unless they already know who the guy is. Yep. That's what I'm saying. So if he goes, then who? Then who else?
But this would be his one, Marcus. This would be what, his 5th in a row Game 7 lost?
I believe so. Just based on the numbers, I have the numbers right here. Doc Rivers is 6-9 all time. Game 7 hasn't won a Game 7 since 2015. Lost the last 4 by an average of 12 points per game, and has never won a Game 7 on the road. So,
I mean,
so to me, the legacy is already cemented. That's why when I was saying legacy, he win this game, people still gonna look at him the same way. We go to the next round, they're gonna say the same thing. Yeah. So I don't think that winning the game changes the perspective of how they view him. That's why I said what I said as far as the legacy game. I don't think, just like with James, I don't think it changed how they view James as far as the playoffs.
It just postpones it to the next Game 7.
It's just to the next situation. Like,
all right, Doc, so you got us this time.
Next Game 7. You know, into the next round, they're not going to say, James and Doc, that's over with. All their history is gone. Now we in the conference finals. No,
they'd have to win a ring.
Yeah,
they'd have to win a ring in like a crucial Game 7 to win the ring, to like really smack it like a rock. Go away.
Yes.
Even with Doc's ring, people still talk about his Game 7s more so than they ever talk about the ring he had, and they tried to poo-poo his one ring. Oh, he had the big 3. That doesn't really count. People talk about Game 7s.
I also think the way you lose to and who you lose to matters a lot. I mean, again, Boston was the favorite. We were barely a favorite before Game 6 to win the series. That's how good Boston is viewed, people.
Doc Rivers coached in the Game 7 in the finals on the road and almost won. And nobody wants to talk about that.
Yeah.
Of course not.
So,
yeah.